Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. Today we are here to talk about 2026 releases. I know, it is crazy. I cannot believe that we are near the end of 2025 and we are about to go into 2026. It's insane. I feel like I've had some proofs lying around for a while that were published next year, but next year seemed like so long away, and now I'm like, oh, these are coming out soon, which is crazy. So I've pulled together a list of 10 books that intrigue me about the following year. These are very personal to me, so I've definitely not included some. I've included some like big name ones, but I've not included all of the kind of common books that you would see. I don't think some of these, like all of these, are quite well known, but there's definitely some. Like, don't expect to see the top 10 fantasies of 2026 or the top 10 romances of 2026. These I think are mostly from authors that I've read from before, so that's why I've included them in this list, or that's what's like drawn me to look at what's coming out in the next year. For the most part, I'm not keeping up to date with like reading new hardbacks, I would say, as they come out. So just be aware going into this video that this is personal to me, and don't be here for like a here's the top 10 fantasy books of 2026 or the top 10 romance or whatever you might be interested in. This is the top 10 books that I am interested in for 2026. I do have a couple of proofs. I have actually already read one of these, so I'm excited to tell you about that. I am going to go in date order, but we span from January to, there's not even a release date yet, but it's meant to be coming out in 2026. But yeah, we'll go in date order. So the first one I have is a proof, and I have not read it yet because I've only just received it in the past few days, but it's 9 Goblins by T. Kingfisher. I have not read a T. Kingfisher book yet, but I've definitely heard so many good things about her writing, and one of my colleagues was actually pushing me to read a T. Kingfisher book, and that's how I ended up with this proof, which I am very, very excited about. So my colleague was basically saying, if you're interested in cozy fantasy, read this one. If you want a romantasy, read this one, so on and so forth. And she told me about this book, and I've heard great things so far. I also love how short it is, so I'm really hoping to get to this one soon, and I've heard that it really packs a punch even though it's really short. I know that this is about goblins, and I know that it's equally cozy and violent, but I don't really know much other than that, so I'm going to read you the back of this book, the synopsis. So it says, a novella of low fantasy and high mischief. No one knows exactly how the Goblin War began, but folks will tell you that goblins are stinking, slinking, filthy, sheep-stealing, henhouse raiding, obnoxious, rude and violent. Goblins would actually agree with all this, and might even throw in cowardly and lazy too, for good measure. But goblins don't go around killing people for fun, no matter what the propaganda posters say. And when a confrontation with an evil wizard lands a troop of 9 goblins deep behind enemy lines, Goblin Sergeant Nasilka must find out how to keep her hapless band together and get them home in one piece. Unfortunately, between them and safety lies a forest full of elves, trolls, monsters, and that most terrifying of creatures, a human being. It's impish, laugh out loud, cozy fantasy, perfect for fans of Legends and Lattes and Thornhedge. Very excited for this to be my first T. Kingfisher book, and this one comes out on the 20th of January in the UK. All of my release dates will be for the UK. The next book I have to talk about is actually one of the only ones on this list that is from an author I haven't read from before, and that is The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Sotto Yambao. And I just love the look of this. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the cover. The train on the water just reminds me of Spirited Away. This is from the same author as Watermoon, which I have a hardback copy of and I have not read yet, which is really bad. But anyway, it says perfect for fans of Spirited Away, The Delicate Dream Department Store and The Starless Sea, all of which I have enjoyed. So I am still excited about this, even though I've not read Watermoon yet. And this one says, Rhea is a lost soul going through the motions of life without a dream of her own. One night on her subway ride home, Rhea's thoughts wander too far. She wakes on the Elsewhere Express, a magical train that offers its passengers a sense of purpose, peace and belonging. The train's endless journey is a chance for Rhea to reimagine her life, but only if she finds her compartment before the time runs out. On board, Rhea meets a charming, handsome artist named Q, and together they race to find their place on the train, through a boarding car carpeted in meadow grass and along a dining carriage where passengers picnic on lily pads. But a mysterious stowaway has boarded with them, and with it a dark malignant, I think, magic that threatens to destroy the train and everything in it. A closer Rhea comes to uncovering the stowaway's identity, the nearer she draws to the ultimate question: what is her life's true purpose, and might Q be connected to it? I'm very excited for this. I think it's adult, I don't think it's YA. Yeah. And it just looks beautiful, and as I said, the Spirited Away vibes just make me very excited. So I will be checking this one out, and it comes out on the 22nd of January. The next one I have to talk about is You and Me and You and Me and You and Me by Josie, Lloyd and Emlyn Rees. This is the other book. So weirdly, I think the first three books in this list, the first three books to come out in 2026, are from ones I have not read from before, from authors I've not read from before, and the rest of the books later in the year I've read from before. So I don't know how that's panned out. But yeah, I requested this one from the publisher, so thank you to Penguin for sending me a copy, because it just sounds up my street. I love a time travel book, and I love a time travel romance as well. So I'm going to read you the synopsis. It says, can a time machine bring back a married couple's spark, or will it unravel everything? Meet Adam and Jules, married for nearly 25 years and stuck in a rut. Their future together looks a bit boring until Jules stumbles across a pile of old mixtapes that she and Adam made for each other when they were young. Adam dusts off his vintage stereo, inserts one of the cassettes, presses play, and the unbelievable happens. With the power to travel back in time, he and Jules can revisit moments in their pasts and recapture the headiness of falling in love. But they soon realise that time travel is as dangerous as it is addictive, with the temptation to make a few small tweaks to improve their lives here in the present quickly proving irresistible. As the ripple effects spiral out of control, can they find a way back to their messy, imperfect, glorious real life, or will they lose each other forever? And this says the feel-good rom-com of 2026. It sounds great. As I said, I love a romance, but a romance with a twist, like with something a little bit extra, and this sounds like that book. I really like this cover. I will say as well, the title makes this really difficult to search for, but it comes out on the 5th of February 2026. The next one I am excited for is a bit different because I have read most of this author's books, but I have not read the first book in this series, but I think it's a companion book. So it is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I believe I've read all of B.K. Borison's books apart from First Time Caller, which is the first book in this series or companion collection. I don't know how to call it, like what to call it. I think I've read all of B.K. Borison's other books. I've read all of the Love Light Farms books, and I have also read Good Spirits. So yeah, I've read all of the books apart from First Time Caller, which is the first one in this series, but I thought it was just still fair to include this because I've heard such good things about First Time Caller, and I'm still kind of hyped for this. Even though I've not read First Time Caller, I'm still excited. And I love the sound of First Time Caller, I just need to get to it. But anyway, I will read you the synopsis of this one because even though it's a series, I do think it's a companion. I don't think there's like crossover apart from the characters probably featuring, like much like the Love Light Farm series. So I don't think I'm spoiling anything by reading the synopsis here. The synopsis of this one is Jackson Clarke and Delilah Stewart have had their fair share of run-ins over the years, often ending in disaster. While Jackson thrives on routine and organisation from the comfort of his radio booth, Delilah loves the spontaneity and adventure out in the field. When they're partnered against their will to cover the snowstorm of the century, they find themselves scrambling to figure out how to work together. Eager to be taken seriously as a journalist, Delilah offers Jackson a deal. If he can help her ace this assignment, she'll help him rediscover his long-lost fun side. With an undiscovered chemistry burning beneath their clashes, the unlikely partnership quickly tumbles into an easy and surprising friendship. But when other feelings start to enter the equation, can Jackson and Delilah withstand the storm? Or does what happened in the mountains stay in the mountains? Oh, this sounds great, and I really like B.K. Borison's work. And as I said, I've just heard such good things about First Time Caller, which is apparently inspired by Sleepless in Seattle, which I love, and apparently And Now Back to You is inspired by When Harry Met Sally, which I did not know. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and it comes out on the 26th of Feb, although I know that Illumicrate Afterlight are having a pre-sale of it next week for Afterlight subscribers, so I probably won't get my copy in February because I'm not sure when it's scheduled to come out from Afterlight, and I probably will order that edition because I have the Afterlight editions of the Love Light Farm series and Good Spirits and First Time Caller, so I will probably try and get that one as well. But 26th of Feb is the UK release date. And we are switching gears from the romance because the next book I have to talk about is a short story collection, and it is Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amal El-Mohtar, who is the co-author of This Is How You Lose the Time War, which I really, really enjoyed. So I am excited to read this one. It's a short story collection, as I said, and I think it's a novella as well, like it's only around 200 pages. But this one says, with confidence and style, El-Mohtar guides us through exquisitely told and sharply observed tales about life as it is, was and could be. Like miscellany from other worlds, these stories are told in letters, diary entries, reference materials, folk tales and lyrical prose. And then it lists the stories that are there in the book, so I am excited for this because I really liked the writing style of This Is How You Lose the Time War. It's very unique, and I have a soft spot for a sci-fi short story collection. I've read a couple, I think, over the years that I've really enjoyed, namely, oh my god, what is it called? How High We Go in the Dark? I think that's what it's called. I really enjoyed that one, and I think other sci-fi short story collections kind of make me think I will get the same thing, so I'm hoping that I will really like this when it comes out, and it comes out on the 24th of March. And the next book is the only one I have read because I've had this brief actually for quite a while, and it's for The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clarke, which is the pen name of two authors, V. Schwab and Kat Clarke, and it comes out in April. Why have I not put a date on here? Come on. It comes out on the 7th of April. I will read you the synopsis because I feel like I probably can't do it any better justice, and it's actually very catchy. It says, world famous author Arthur Fletch is dead. His final novel, the most anticipated book in history, remains unfinished, but the ending won't write itself. 6 authors are invited to Fletch's private island in Scotland, authors whose books have never had big marketing budgets or publicity opportunities, not even an uncorrected proof. In other words, mid-list. And they're about to be presented with the opportunity of a lifetime. Whoever writes a worthy ending will receive $2 million and a 3-book contract. They have just 72 hours with no access to the outside world, just a typewriter and a blank page. All they have to do is write. Starting is often the hardest part, but getting to the end could be murder. Guys, this was great. This was so good. It was so addictive. It was so readable. It is broken down into chapters, but also in parts and in sections for the different authors in here. So I'll just have a flick through so you can kind of see how much it's broken down into the different authors who are on this island. It is great, it's addictive, it's compelling, it is very satirical, and I will say it really reminded me of Yellowface in how it talks so honestly, and it does not hold back any punches when it talks about the publishing sphere. So if you have any interest in that, I would highly recommend this, and if you liked Yellowface, I think I preferred this one. So yeah, I would really recommend this, and as I said, it comes out on the 7th of April. For the next book, we are going back to romance, and it's for the Daisy Chain Flower Shop, Dream Harbour, book 6. Have I missed one? I feel like I've only read 4. No, I think I have read them all. Oh, I don't think I've read the Gingerbread Bakery, you know. And that's come out. I did feel like I was missing one. I felt like it had been a while since one of these books had come out, and that was confusing me. But anyway, off on a tangent there. This is a romance series by Laurie Gilmore, which is obviously a pen name, highly inspired by Gilmore Girls. And there's now 6 books in the series apparently. But this series is like not the best thing ever, but is kind of addictive. And I think as a palette cleanser romance, I really enjoy them. And although some of them have not been like as great, the last one I read, which was the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, I believe, I actually really enjoyed. I really liked the characters in that one, and there was a single dad, which is not something that I really like and drawn towards, but actually I really liked the story and the romance between the 2 characters. This one is obviously set in the same town. I really must read the Gingerbread Bakery though before I read this one, because now I'm like all out of sync. But this one is following Daisy, what a surprise, and Elliot. And it says, the greatest love is the one you never expected to find. Daisy is fed up with being unlucky in love, and after several weddings she has done the flowers for that end in divorce, her beloved flower shop has gained a reputation of being cursed, thanks to Mayor Kelly and his infamous visions. Dream Harbour newcomer Elliot has been adjusting to town life following his own relationship turmoil, and until now he's avoided the flower shop at all costs. If the mayor is correct, he doesn't need any more bad luck in his life. But with his family coming to visit, Elliot finds himself reluctantly in front of Daisy's store in need of some flowers. As the petals blossom in the sunlight, Daisy and Elliot might find that love that comes when you are least expecting it. It's a cosy, romantic mystery with a fake relationship dynamic, a small town setting, and a happy ever after guaranteed. I feel like if you know what you're going into with this series, you're probably going to enjoy it. Like, don't expect the best thing ever, but expect a fun, cozy, low stakes, happy ever after romance that is probably going to get you turning the pages. It's a great palette cleanser series, and I actually really do enjoy it, and I just find them really cozy and comforting. And that one comes out on the 5th of May. I don't know what this says about my reading tastes at the moment, but we're going from one romance to another, because the next one is The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. I really like Ashley Poston's work. I have read, I think, everything she's written in the adult sphere. The 7 Year Slip is definitely my favourite, but all of her books have great twists. What I love about Ashley Poston is it is not just romance. Like I said, I often need something more. I need something more, something different and unique in order for me to rate a romance a 5-star, or like for it to get like a high rating and for me to really enjoy it. Like, as I said about the last one, sometimes I just want a good palette cleanser and something that's going to get me turning the pages. But if I want something that's going to actually really impress me, Ashley Poston does that. They always make me really emotional at some points as well. But yeah, The 7 Year Slip was the first of her adult romances I'd read, and it's still like, you can't beat that. I really liked the concept of The 7 Year Slip. But I have also enjoyed all of the books that she's written since. So when I saw that The Someday Garden is coming out in June, I was really excited for it. I'm just looking for a synopsis because I don't actually think there is one yet. Oh no, there is one. Okay. It says, when Sophie Trier plans her escape to coastal Maine for the summer for a temporary job revitalising the storied grounds at Lilymore House, she doesn't expect to fall in love, but she does, with the beguiling land, beguiling? That's a weird word. The fragrant flowers and the towering hedge maze with the quirky staff and the enigmatic woman who owns the place. And then the door appears. Never in the same place twice, it leads her to a secret and an unfinished garden with a frustrated thundercloud of a man trapped inside. The mysterious garden is not the only sign that the future of Lilymore is unstable. The foliage resists Sophie's careful nurturing, vines threaten to strangle the hedges, and the mare's owner has wild ideas about the manor's owner has wild ideas about who will take over when she retires, including her inconveniently attractive nephew, who is also just there for the summer. Despite herself, Sophie has come to care for the residents of Lilymore just as much as she cares for its grounds. With the help of one man on the outside of the secret garden and one man on the inside, she might be the only person who can figure out exactly what Lilymore needs to bloom once more. This is what I mean about her books. They always have like a magical realism element, and in this case, it is doorways. And I love that. I don't want my fantasy, my romance to be the same every single time, and the fact that Ashley Poston seems to make something slightly different, I just really, really love. And The Someday Garden comes out on the 16th of June 2026. I could not make this video without mentioning probably one of the most hyped books that is going to come out in 2026, definitely in the YA sphere, and that is of course Heartstopper Volume 6 by Alice Oseman. I'm very excited for this. It is the last graphic novel in the Heartstopper series. Obviously this series has been coming out for years. I read it, I think, as the first volume was coming out. I read all of it on, not Tumblr, but one of the like sites that it was published on at the time. And I met Alice at around the same time for the first time, and I've met her a few times since. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where the series closes. I have read Nick and Charlie, which is set afterwards, so I'm not like expecting any surprises, but I am very excited to see where this final instalment wraps up. It says that as the story comes to a close, we're following Charlie's bid to become head boy, and Nick is preparing for huge changes that starting university will bring. If you're not familiar with this graphic novel series, it is an LGBTQ+ graphic novel set between two boys who are in high school and they're falling in love, but also there's so many other things that come with that as they grow up and they discover things about themselves, and they just generally go through a lot. I feel like this series has always managed to cover a lot of ground and talk about some really important topics, and I really love that. So yeah, this one says contains discussions around mental health and eating disorders and sexual references. So yeah, Alice has always managed to include just some really important topics, and I think it is great to see that in the YA sphere as well. So I am excited to see where Heartstopper ends up. And Heartstopper Volume 6 comes out on the 2nd of July. And last but not least, I had to mention Victorious Villains 3 by V. Schwab. It's been a long time since I read the Villains series, and I will go and tell you about the first book in the series rather than Victorious, because I don't want to give away any spoilers. I didn't think this had a release date, but it does seem to have a release date of the 6th of October. I'm not sure if that is going to be completely accurate, but we shall find out. But anyway, the first book, Vicious, I really enjoy. Vicious and Vengeful. They are kind of X-Men style fantasy, and it's following Victor and Eli, who start out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognise the same sharpness and ambition in one another, a shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions someone could develop extraordinary abilities. But when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong and they become extraordinaries, EOs, leaving a body in their wake and turning on each other. 10 years later, Victor has escaped from prison and is determined to get his revenge on the man who put him in there, aided by a young girl with the ability to raise the dead. Eli has spent the years hunting down and killing every EO he can find, convinced that they are a crime against God, all except his sidekick, a woman whose power is persuasion and whom he cannot defy. Armed with terrible power on both sides, driven by the memory of betrayal and loss, the arch-nemesis have set a course for revenge, but who will be left alive at the end? Honestly, even reading that, I'm realising how much I don't remember about the first 2 books in the series, but I loved them. I feel like V. Schwab, I've said this a lot, but V. Schwab has this amazing ability to make every single book she writes different. Yes, some things follow similar veins. I would say the Near Witch and Gallant have a similar vein. Addie LaRue and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil are on similar veins, and maybe Dark Shade of Magic and Villains series kind of has a similar vibe in fantasy, but I think every book she writes, she brings something different to the table. Here's some proof. And I think that's really interesting, similar to R.F. Kuang. I think R.F. Kuang does that really well as well. But yes, I am very excited to see where the conclusion of this series goes, and I probably need to reread Vicious and Vengeful before I do that, which is maybe no bad thing. But yes, I would highly recommend checking out the Vicious and Vengeful books, the Villain series, and Victorious is apparently scheduled to come out on the 6th of October. Okay, that is the 10 books I had to talk about come out in 2026. I hope this has been interesting to find out about some books I'm excited to be released in 2026 and to check out in 2026. If you have any recommendations for me that are coming out in the next year, then do let me know, drop a comment down below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!